This episode of Her Design, Her Story is brought to you by Royal Oak Floors, the original pioneers of engineered oak flooring in Australia. For over 2 decades, their meticulously crafted floors have grounded Australian spaces with elegance, durability, and a sense of enduring nature. Royal Oak Floors believes every great space begins with a magnificent material. Discover their oak floor collection at royaloakfloors.com.au. Bea Lambos is a stylist whose work bridges components of fashion, culture, and storytelling. Known for her intuitive eye and thoughtful approach, Bea brings a distinctive sensitivity to every project she touches, whether she's shaping editorial narratives, collaborating with designers, or crafting visual identities that feel both current and enduring. Her style is defined not just by aesthetics, but by intention. Bea has a deep understanding of texture, form, and the emotional language of interior spaces. With a background that blends creative direction and hands-on styling, Bea has built a reputation for translating ideas into compelling visual experiences. She approaches each collaboration as a dialogue, drawing out the essence of a brand or individual space and expressing it with clarity and nuance. On this episode, we explore Bea's creative journey, her perspective on the evolving role of styling, and how she navigates inspiration in a fast-moving industry. Bea, welcome to Her Design, Her Story. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
I have had the pleasure of working with you on a few projects over the years, and I have to say you're always a very welcome face in a design crowd for me. I always love running into you
You're very
at
kind.
events, and I have loved, you have a wonderful social media profile, which I want to touch on shortly, but I absolutely love your approach to social media, and I feel like that keeps me quite in touch with all the beautiful work that you're doing and all the amazing ideas you have. So I'm very excited to talk about that today. I did want to go back to the start of your design journey. I've worked with you in a capacity as a stylist, but I actually realised I didn't know much about where you had started in your first study pathway. What was that like for you when you left school?
Look, I really fell into this moment in time after I'd done a whole lot of other different jobs. I studied teaching originally.
Oh, wow.
But probably the one role I had I've got 2 kids, so my husband used to travel a lot, so I could not do this job, I don't think, with 2 young kids on my own without a live-in nanny or something. Something, and a housekeeper and a cleaner and a driver maybe. That would be the ideal. So I sort of – it was just this little slow burn, to be honest. I had a period of being really unwell where I could not drive or go out of the house or whatever for about 6 months, and sort of stood up at the end and went, okay, I've decided what I really want to do. I had the ugliest pendant lighting above my bed, and that was my first job, was to get rid of that. And I was like, you know what? I've always hustled in my own house, hustled for friends. I've got friends who are in hospitality, would call and say, I need, 3 dozen white jugs, can you help me? So I was always that friend.
Yep.
And so I just decided after I'd had this period of being unwell that I was like, okay, this is it. I'm going to do something. So I had a friend who I was helping to do his furniture. He wanted some help. He was getting all his furniture high end. He had an architect doing the house. It was quite experimental. And so I used to go to a few meetings with him and pretend that I was on the team, and just helped him with all his furniture selections, his decor selections. And he just said to me, why don't you do this as a job? So I did the design school course.
Oh, right.
That was when it was on site. So it was in Abbotsford, and it was just a room full of people. There were some that just wanted to be on the block because Jenna was running it at that point.
Okay, yes.
So, there was that,
Celebrity
3 degrees of
aspect.
separation with the celebrity. I don't know. But for me, it was probably just that way of experimenting, because I experimented heaps in my own house, and I just wanted to understand why I felt the way I did and be able to articulate why I felt the way I did about lighting, space, things, mood of rooms, all that sort of stuff. I had all these weird idiosyncrasies in my own home. Used to choose hotels and restaurants and stuff the way I wanted to live. So it sort of just stemmed from that. It was just this little gradual step, I suppose.
Yeah.
And then I met Dave Kaliza on Instagram. I started my Instagram. Just thought I'll just start Instagram. I don't know, it's free. I'll just start it. And Dave was also emerging as a photographer.
Yes, yeah.
And we also in turn met Aidan and James from Local Project, who were also emerging.
Yeah.
Before they had a magazine, they were taking photos of
I think that's where I first crossed paths with you, actually,
Yeah,
because you and Dave did some
in your
work
house.
at my house for the Local Project. Yes.
Yeah. So that's how it just sort of bumbled. I did the 12 months of design school, but on the side I was doing a little bit of styling, building up my Instagram, building up, just some assets that I felt were shareable. I was doing flat lays in my own house, but that was all I could do really. So it was, just sort of starting to really get into architecturally designed houses, speak to other architects, builders, interior designers like you.
Yeah.
And just felt like there was this teeny tiny little niche that I didn't want to do real estate. I just wanted to go into people's houses and make them feel good in their spaces. Yeah. So that was basically it.
Yeah. How long was that design school course? Did you say it
12
was a
months.
year? 12 months.
12 months.
And I guess probably in some respects maybe a good self-check. Maybe actually you completely knew what you were doing, and there's an element of intuition.
Theoretically, probably I didn't know, about the theories of, design, or I sort of ran with the skills that I thought I had. Yeah. And just sort of fell into the right. I think once you look like you're an authority, whether it's through Instagram, whether it's through a blog, whether it's through Substack or a website or whatever, as soon as people think that you're an authority, it gives you the confidence to go, well, actually, I think I am, but I just haven't had anyone else get what I get, if that makes sense. So it just became that small niche of starting with photo shoots. I was doing photo shoots for free at the start, and really experimenting, and also really enjoying the collaboration with photographers and with other professionals. Yeah. Because that's basically, I really do not see myself as a standalone person. I see myself as a collaborator.
Which is often quite prevalent through all design processes.
Completely.
Whether it's architecture or landscape. I often have clients saying, "Oh, can you do a bit of landscaping?"
Yeah,
absolutely not.
Yeah, completely.
It's a whole other skill set. Yeah.
Don't ask me to do a drawing. But I can imagine it in my head, and I could probably find you a reference image. Yeah. So, just sort of bumbled away with how I felt good in spaces, and then that sort of in turn helped when you'd walk into a house and be like, far out, they just need to move the rug and this room's going to feel completely different. Yeah. So photo shoots, obviously you need that very fast. It's that adrenaline full day or 2 days or whatever it is. But then to work with people in their homes, I think you just find the clientele that just needed that solution. Yes. I've got all this great stuff. I've got great taste. I've spent all this money, I've invested. Why doesn't it feel good? Yeah. So, that sort of became my niche, I think.
Oh, that's interesting. I did want to go back a little bit just in terms of growing up and family life. Was there anyone in your family who was particularly creative, or any moments you remember from when you were growing up that might have fed into that?
Look, I come from a big family. I've got 5 sisters, 4 brothers.
Wow.
So my mum was
Where are you in that spectrum?
I'm second last.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So
it's amazing.
I did a lot of watching, didn't speak much. I just sat and observed how life went. But I think I was the Saturday morning, pull all the furniture out of my room and redecorate. Yeah. And we didn't have, a lot in our house, and we shared a lot. So I think it made me very good at hustling, different ways of using things maybe. Yeah. But no one no one in a sense was in design or, there was no architecture or nothing like that. But I think it was, my mum was very creative in that respect, repurposing, and making life out of something else. We all got hand-me-downs. We all did all that sort of stuff. And same with furniture,
Yeah.
But when I left home when I was 18 and moved to Melbourne, I was in country New South Wales. And I lived with a woman who had 3 kids under 5 and who just needed help with her kids while I studied. I was studying teaching.
Yeah.
And she had an amazing house in Hawthorn. She had an interior designer doing the house.
Yeah.
That was the 90s of the stripe walls.
Feature wall.
Actually, it was a whole room.
Oh, the whole room.
Forward thinking. She actually had some really amazing design elements in the house. So I think I really learnt a lot through that period of time. Travel, I suppose. I didn't really travel that much, but when I met my husband, we did a lot of traveling.
Yeah.
Before and after we got married. So I think travel definitely opens your eyes to what you love and what you don't love,
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
So jumping forward a little bit into your current career now.
Yeah.
So you did your design course and that sort of natural evolution into the work you were doing.
Yeah.
What does your business look like at the moment? Is it sort of equi-measure working with clients and working with other, in their home and photo shoots, or how does that breakdown sort of work for you?
Look, it's very cyclical. So there'll be a period of time, sort of like October, November, where it's really busy, pre-award season with architects and builders, where it is photo shoots are really busy, and then there'll sort of be that June, July lull where people will be sitting in their houses feeling a bit, it's sad that it's cold and wet and Melbourne. And that's when people sort of reach out to go, hey, do you think I could get a sofa, next week or whatever? So I probably wasn't very good at balancing that at the start, but now I sort of only really fully commit to a decorating client, maybe 2 at a time.
Yeah.
So I've just finished with one, and it was the second house that we've done. So really great evolution of she knew how I worked and I knew how they lived. So we've done 2 houses with her. So it's just this I'm slow as I like people to ferment with ideas. I don't like to just rush in and go, okay, I'm going to get it all from one space. There's a lot of serendipity that ends up happening.
Yeah.
So I'm probably I think I'm so used to the adrenaline of a photo shoot.
Yeah.
And probably the 2 weeks or even the week before a shoot, I really get into it, because sometimes when you're learning from a showroom, things get sold, especially post-COVID. So I have to be very, very clever with, not getting too hell-bent on just having the one thing. So I'm pretty good at sort of saying, look, there's probably 10 things we could do here. So I think I'm so used to that adrenaline that I love the decorating clients. I love them just to sit in it and just really feel it, breathe it, not make too many rash decisions.
Yeah.
And plus the expense, I suppose.
Yeah, what's interesting is now often I find if I get involved in that, I guess that decorative overlay at the end of a project, it can be that forgotten or that sort of contingency sum that kind of creeps.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And life gets busy, I've still got 2 kids at home. My husband still does travel, and, it's very different pressure to what they were when they were little.
Yeah.
But it's still wanting to have that balance. We're all trying to find the balance, aren't we?
I know.
Trying to get off our phones, off our laptops and stuff. So, I'm just a bit kinder to myself maybe, and just saying, look, saying no to people isn't a bad thing.
Yeah.
So I think it's working okay. There are times like, this week where it's really busy.
Yeah.
And where I sort of think, I've got that shoot next week, and then it's all of a sudden it's the week of. So, there is that. It depends on each space where I'm going into, what they need, what they don't need, how much assistance they need. Some people are really amazing at working out what they need in their space. Other people just, rabbit in the headlights. I just need you to come in and do it.
Yeah.
So, it depends on all the clients.
I did want to touch on the different types of clients, because obviously the concept of styling, probably much like interior design can be quite varied.
Yeah.
But I know you have a really strong hand in a lot of different facets.
Yeah.
So you have your decoration, furniture, styling clients in their own home.
Yeah.
And then what's that process like if you are styling for like an architectural, I'm thinking the capacity I've worked with you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I love working with a stylist. I feel like as a designer it takes a huge amount of we pass that
Well,
pressure
it's those
on a little bit.
extra teeny tiny elements and you've already made 10,000 decisions. It's just all those decisions that you don't.
And then pulling together photos is a whole different experience.
Yeah.
And then I guess working with a client being a brand, styling their product.
Which I really love. And I've been working with Harley for a few years now and doing their ranges each year, once a year. It's really nice sort of obviously getting to know the people behind a brand.
Yeah.
But also sort of keeping the energy up every year and thinking about new ways of how we can show it, depending on what's going on in the world or depending on what range they're actually getting in.
Yeah.
Every client is different. Every job is different. And I think that's why I love it. I get very easily bored.
Yeah.
You can ask my family on most Sundays. I'm still moving furniture on a Sunday and they'll sort of be like, right, we're going out for lunch. You've got to get out of the house because they don't want to have to help.
It's funny.
And it's unsettling, obviously. I just love that hustle and I love that fresh eyes approach. I love people coming into my house and saying, why don't you move that? Or have you tried doing that? Or, everyone needs fresh eyes every once in a while.
Yeah, no, I often see that role, particularly in a lot of the projects I'm doing, or where I'm thinking the jobs where I've worked with you, having it's almost that missing that final consultant overlay.
Yeah,
you've got landscaping, you've got the interior, object styling.
Yeah, and you can't.
I mean,
not one person can create inside, outside, and what they sleep in and how they feel when they get up. Like it is a collaborative approach. So I always, really honour who I get to work with because, I'm so lucky that I get to walk around a house with an architect and they tell me all about the joins in the ceiling and, all the architectural terms that I have no idea what they're talking about. But to see everything, feel it, breathe it, and then to bring in elements that all of a sudden they go, this is how I imagined it.
Yeah.
Then, it's a really good, it's good, feel good at the end of the day.
Yeah, I was going to say you've had your business going for about 10 years now, which is incredible. And I do want to touch on your social media shortly because that's something I've particularly really enjoyed your social media posts. But in terms of, I guess, at this point in your career, reflecting back on the evolution of your business, I feel like intuition's probably a really big part of the skill set. Are there any other key qualities that you feel you possess which have really aided you in that longevity?
Yeah. Look, someone asked me last week what my style was, and I don't think I've got a style. I think, how people, I get people who call me and they say, so what style do you like to, decorate? And I'm like, well, I don't really have a style. I blend into what is already in place.
Yeah, or the architecture or the aesthetics.
So it could be the architecture, it could be the greenery outside, it could be the location of where the house is, the busyness, the quietness of it. Definitely light is a massive thing. I think it's just that maybe resilience of not sort of going, oh my God, they don't have that sofa that we really wanted. It's like, well, look, actually this one's going to work well. We'll just tweak it, put something else different inside, in front of it.
Yeah.
So decorating for photo shoots completely different to decorating to live in. You would have known that, it's sometimes.
It's always surprised me and I really struggle with it.
Yeah. It's a really, really weird way to look at the world.
Very patient.
Yeah.
So I think we've touched on intuition.
Yeah.
And I think that's often a really big one I can see in styling. I don't think you can necessarily teach someone. It's probably a bit like photography. There's the technical skill, but there is that eye for what they're creating. Yeah. Are there any other skills that you feel you possess which have really helped aid that longevity as a stylist, like resilience? I
think also having the ability to collaborate with all different types of people.
Yeah.
and really try and understand what they want, because it's not my project.
Yeah.
In the end, it's not my project. So I am trying to read the way they interact with their client or the homeowner, the way they wanted the project to look like at the start. You know, it's some architects could be a 2 or 3 year project or process. So yeah, it's having that ability to try and read people. It's also just having that once you get to work with the same people, you just know what they love and what they don't love.
Yeah.
And the same with photographers. I go on a recce with every project. I try. I've had 2 this year already that we did remotely because they were interstate or in the country, and the architects just didn't want to go back up there. So I really, really want to do a recce, even if the architect or the designer isn't there, just to be able to stand in the space, see where the light falls. And if I've worked with a photographer before, I know what shots they're thinking about before they've even got there. Yeah. So I think then once we've already got that intuition together at the start of the day, you know the day's going to be smooth. Everyone knows how everyone works. Yeah. So it's probably just building up that network and just sort of understanding how people work and sort of being able to slot into that. Because we're sort of that final piece in the cake, you know. And I think if I came in guns blazing and said, no, I think we need to change all of this around, I don't think that would work. Just don't think I'd have the work.
No, probably a level of diplomacy. And I think that coming back to that relationship building as well.
That's the one word I was looking for, diplomacy. Yeah.
Which can be difficult. I remember working on an amazing house years ago when I was working for another designer, and the clients took it quite personally. Yeah. They had some very treasured items which I could see aesthetically for a photo were not quite right. Yeah. But we didn't end up photographing the house because there was just no middle ground. Yeah, which was a shame.
And people do, I think one of the things I do at the start is I say to the homeowner, is there anything that you do not want photographed? You know, we had one client who didn't want his, collection of Grange to be photographed in the cellar.
Oh, that's fair.
Fine, let's pull it out. So all of those things that the photographer may not know, but see that great shot and be like, oh, we really need all of that. I'm like, well, they just don't want it photographed. Yeah. So I think that makes it better process, because the homeowner, if they go out for the day, they know that we've already had that conversation. Everything's going to be fine. We're not going to touch anything that they don't want touched. And then sometimes people will be like, touch it all, restyle it, don't, because we put everything back at the end of the day.
Yes, that's a big part of the day actually, is putting everything
that's part of the fun at 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock. So we, you do get the option that some people would be like, you go nuts. Yeah. Please style it. So it's just sort of, it's a very emotional process. And it's, on my signature, I did have interior psychologist, because I feel like there is a lot of psychology involved in it. You're in someone's house. Yeah.
And you're at that final stage of the project as well. I think everyone's, it's been a big effort to get there. Yeah. But I think coming back to that idea of relationships as well, I can see the times I've worked with you, it's always a really fun, ultimately you want everyone to have a really great day. Yeah. But also with suppliers, I imagine is a big one. I know that's often for me a little bit overwhelming if I have to borrow furniture. Like that's a whole other.
Yeah, and that's hard. I completely understand the whole breakage side of things. Also, as every year goes past, it gets harder and harder to loan. There's more restrictions. There's more, it goes, I suppose, to social media. Suppliers want their pieces shot in the way that they want it to be seen, and so you really have to gain their trust. So sometimes I'll get someone who'll say, "Oh, I'll just go to your supplier, blah blah, and I'll do it." I'm like, well, that's taken me 4 years or whatever. It's taken me a long time to actually get that person to trust that I'm going to look after it. I'm going to hold it under my arm, or, I'm going to have it next to me on my front seat wrapped in a blanket and pat it at traffic lights. Or, I get the white glove mover to do it. So, you need that level of trust, and you can't just walk into this job, I don't think, just sort of, I can do it. I think there's been a lot of fermenting of relationships. Yeah. And so I'm very reverent with people's things, and I'm very reverent with, I always double check. if we shoot it outside, is that okay? If someone sees it in a magazine, are they going to say, but I saw it outside in this, so I want it as an outdoor chair? You know, I had a client this morning.
Oh, of course.
It's like artwork, you know, you make sure that the artwork is hung the right way, not upside down, which is seen, or sideways. So it's a reverence for the pieces that you loan, the pieces that you bring into someone's house, maybe temporary, but it might just be, we've had, you know, lots of occasions where the clients just said, don't take the rug, we just keep the rug, or, you know, that artwork's perfect. We've been looking for something. So you do get those moments.
Yeah, artwork's a big one actually, and often the trickiest.
Yeah.
Hard to sort of.
And that's hard for me in a way, because artwork, when I work with clients, I want them to get artwork that they, you know, I call it the holy shit. You walk into that, you walk into a space that you walk into 1,000 times a year, and if you can still walk in and go, holy shit, I love whatever it is. It could be a, you know, bowl on the bench, or it could be a, you know, 3x4 artwork or a rug on the floor. If they have that feeling, then it's worth it. But because I've only been into a space for a photo shoot, I can only be there for an hour.
Yeah.
I don't really know what the client digs as far as artwork.
No, and it's very personal. Yeah. I thought it was very funny. Gerwin Davis, he has done this great series of photographs. I actually saw one up in a gallery in the Gold Coast. Anyway, very playful. He was actually, I believe, a landscaper.
Oh, wow.
But he dresses up in these outfits and takes these self-portraits.
Hilarious.
So it's this big photo of him dressed as chips, like hot chips.
Oh, my God.
Getting chased by magpies. And I just
hysterical.
thought, my husband loved it. We were like, great scale, colour, but also kind of very Australian, very funny. Anyway, my friend's son was standing there the other night staring at it. He said, I just don't get it. I said, that's okay, sweet. There's nothing to get.
Yeah.
It's just, it is what it is. And it really perplexed him. Yeah. It was like he was looking for that deep meaning. And he's like, I love it. I'm like, I love it.
And things don't have to have a deep meaning. Things can just be something that you go.
It just makes me happy every morning. It's a really fun piece. But no, it's funny because it's quite confused.
Yeah. And you've got great artwork in your house.
I do. I feel for me it's been something that there's a bit of nostalgia there as well. And often, you know, if you're purchasing something like that, for us it's been a big purchase, and there's often a story behind it. But I, during COVID, was rearranging artwork like a mad woman, just because it made the spaces feel quite different. Yeah.
And art, you do not need 1,000 pieces of art to, you know, you can have 5 key pieces, but just moving them around in your house where the light falls on them a bit differently with different decor. I think if anything's got a meaning, this is sort of like the styling part of it too, and not wanting to just go to one shop and just get everything from the same shop. If something's got a meaning, the touch, the smell, the feel of it, then it's the right purchase, I think, for clients.
It's interesting as well with some of that object and artwork overlay. I was thinking, I was at my cousin's house in Sydney, and he had one of my uncle's paintings that I distinctly remember from my grandmother's house. I probably couldn't remember much of what else was in that room but the artwork. And then it was funny, we've styled a property we have on the market, so I'd taken a lot of our artwork away up the road, and the girls came downstairs like, oh, the room feels really, where's all our stuff? And it was just a few artworks, but the walls are quite bare at the moment. So it was interesting that they'd noticed.
Yeah. So I think you do get used to certain things, and certain things have that nostalgia. It's like going to somewhere on holidays and the smell or whatever, and you smell that here, and it's like, oh, wow, that was a really good time, or, you know, could just be a change of season or something. I don't know. Yeah. But, I think the emotion of the house is so important. Yeah. And COVID taught us that, right?
Exactly. A lot of time at home.
Matching tracksuits. Man, did I move a lot of stuff in my house I
did want to come back to your social media.
Yeah.
I did enjoy, particularly when you moved house. These are the kind of videos I spend hours watching, reorganising your shelving. But I think that's actually, I think people enjoy seeing that layer of intuition and moving things around, because it's often that confidence, or that, like, I think coming back to that idea of having a sense of authority, but you know, confidence over what you're doing. Yeah. I also, knowing you as well, I think there's a wonderful sense of your personality that comes through. It's insightful but playful.
Yeah.
And very endearing.
Yeah.
Is that something that just has been quite a natural evolution for you? I find I'm terrible at social media, so I absolute envy of your.
Oh, look, there's a lot that's sitting in archive. I should share that actually. There's a big lot of archive, and I like to post daily, and I haven't posted for about 4 days because it's been busy. But it is that just drop it, and I like doing the copy. When I schedule posts, I'm like, why am I not doing this all the time? But I just like writing the copy as to how I feel that day. And I think that's much better than having something that's very scheduled and very cold. I don't know. It's just sort of the way I've done
personable.
It from the start.
Yeah.
Yeah, which it's very time consuming that way, but that's just the way it is. It's very analog actually. But it was always that intent of just posting it and dropping it, and, having 4 friends that will message you and go, hey, that was cute. Like, okay, great. That's all I needed, and I'm very much a colour person. So I get very stuck in a colour. I get stuck in it's like when you go to buy a white car and then all of a sudden all you see on the street is a white car, sort of, it's that thing, you sort of get immersed in something. So, social media has just been this quiet little burn.
Yeah.
I love imagery, and I'm trying not to be too possessed by all the imagery.
So much.
So hard, isn't it?
Yeah.
I love Pinterest. I love my books. I love my magazines. So I'm constantly trying to hop from different elements and keep it, I don't know, where I'm not just bogged down.
I was going to actually ask you about that idea of inspiration, because I think particularly with 10 years in the industry is amazing.
Yeah.
And I think the way that we consume new projects and ideas has shifted a lot over the last few years.
Yeah.
And I still love buying magazines, but sometimes the price point or just the different magazines available now, we've lost a few in Australia, which is unfortunate. Yeah. But there are some amazing international magazines obviously as well.
Yeah.
Is that just a continual process for you in terms of looking for things that are inspiring you? Yeah.
Yeah. And I do go back to old books, and, I pulled out the Terence Conran book, like 1990s, I think. I bought it at a local op shop. And, glass bricks, all those things, all the things that just keep revolving, are in all those sort of books. And it's sort of, I don't know. It's not like I'm looking for a new trick as far as styling, because I've got clients that I've done maybe 3 or 4 or 5 projects. Yeah. And they've obviously got their own style and their own nuance of how they design a house. So it's just trying to keep things fresh a little bit. So it's sort of going back and looking at, Giorgio Armani's house in the 1980s or early 90s, the matching bedside lamps and everything very square and low and
limited colour palette.
Yeah, a little bit of shiny and a little bit of gold here and there. So just trying to keep touch with all of that. But, I bought the Cabana magazine on Friday and it was $70 at my local newsagents.
It's a book.
And I'm sure that was like $50 last year. So I'm like, oh my God, this is definitely I'm going to have to cure my addiction with something else. So magazines are definitely I don't know, it's really hard I still want paper, still want to.
I know, and I think there's something about flicking through and the different kind of articles and things in there.
Yeah, I'm sure you'll probably try to zoom in like I do on imagery in a magazine, at the traffic lights. Reading it in the car and trying to zoom in. I'm like, oh my God. So
wrong device.
Yeah. And I did have one client who wasn't on social media, a decorating client, and I helped her with her fixtures and finishes. She was building a house and she had no Pinterest, no Instagram.
That's quite refreshing, actually.
It was
clean slate.
It was really, really nice because whatever I offered her was fresh and new, and it wasn't like I just offered her, the same grey things, but you just don't have that variance of going to bed at night, having a quick scroll and going, oh my God, I've just seen that wallpaper in a completely different tone. Maybe we should go back to that, and then everything changes. So that process was so nice. I want them to do a beach house next. I'm like,
Yeah.
I'll be at the beach house.
Ready for
'Cause
a
I know-
holiday
yeah,
home.
she used to have her tear sheets out of magazines.
Yeah.
It was really nice.
It is. I remember even working in other offices probably 15 years ago
Yeah.
as all that digital
Yeah.
stuff was becoming available.
Yeah.
It was hard, we were always trying to stay a step ahead because it was hard to surprise people
Yes.
with something new.
Yeah.
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 So it was often going back to,
Mm.
the Belgian
Yeah.
designers or something where
yeah,
people
yeah.
actually hadn't read or looked at a Vincent van Dyson book before.
Yeah, and I think that's why I get bedazzled by the overseas magazines because I see a lot of different houses in Melbourne, definitely. So you see Bayside, you see North Side, you see South Side. So I think I'm trying to always get those really heavy material homes, those really heavily decorated, the UK homes, and you want the cool from New York or from the States. States are always, everything's so enormous in, especially in California, and that's
Scale of the spaces,
scale is
yeah.
amazing. They've always got low ceilings, but these huge custom furniture and that sort of stuff. So I'm always trying to pull from other different areas just to try and maybe sort of re-energize that into styling projects, especially.
Yeah.
Might be just one chair that completely changes things up, or using something that, I've used bins as vases and vases as bins and, just all those sort of things that when you need a different element in a photo shoot or something, it's something really quick.
Yeah.
Turn something up on its head and all of a sudden it becomes a side table, or I don't know. So it's just sort of doing those sort of things.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting as well, coming back to that comment around a slow burn and just taking time, because I often find time can be where it catches you out, because you think, I'm trying to think about something fresh and new, but I've actually got to present this on Friday.
Yes.
So
yeah.
panic.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, and it's that, what do they say about creative people need to stare at a white wall for a while?
Yeah.
It is very much like
your
that.
brain.
You do get days where you get up and you're like, I am not feeling creative today, or I'm just tired from yesterday from being so creative. So I think that, on a photo shoot, we don't have time for that.
No, it's quick.
That's when the collaboration helps, because, I've had a photographer that'll say, you're the creative director today. I just don't feel it. I can't feel it in this space. The space might be completely what they don't really dig. It might be, overly decorated place or a really cluttered space or whatever. So it is that leaning on each other, because each other's very creative and you can do it. You've just got to, bend in the moment, I suppose.
Yeah, no, I find it really interesting. I did also want to touch on, you mentioned before you have 2 children who are through school now?
Yes.
Yes,
Just
through school.
Yeah.
Which obviously I always find it interesting to talk about that sort of very blurred line between life and work.
Yeah.
Is that something that has been easier to manage as kids have got older, have you found?
I think, yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the time away from your family, I suppose. Uber Eats has helped in our house. We never cook on shoot days. There's never any food on a shoot night. I think, it's been great. My daughter's quite creative. She works in a media agency. Yeah. So she's very much my critic. So I do tend to run things by her. And she runs things by me as well. So she's very much about what's going on in my social media and what I should be doing on TikTok and what I'm not doing and stuff. So it's really good.
World. Yeah.
Yeah. She keeps me current. She keeps me very current.
Yeah.
So yeah, it is. It's very different. When they were younger, I would not be able to do the hours.
Yeah.
That, I suppose when your kids go to bed, 9 o'clock was my great time to jump on my emails, which is not ideal. And I probably still do that now, because she and I like to sit and watch, crappy TV. And
we need I need an element of downtime every day, because otherwise it's sort of I go to bed quite wired.
Yeah. And when the coffee wears off, and then you're like, you just need to sit and stare at something. So it's definitely easier. Yeah. It's definitely easier. And even my son, he's at uni, and he said to me today, when are you shooting this week? Do you need me to pick anything up for you?
Oh,
Can
amazing.
Yeah. Or he helps me pack my car sometimes, because sometimes I'll be like, my Tetris isn't great today. I need your help. So, there's that sort of aspect of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just, you know, your little fan club that you need.
Yeah, perfect.
And they I think now they say we love that you worked because it didn't work for a period of time. So I think they really like it, and it makes me happy to work. So
I think particularly in a
adding to-
creative space as well, it can be quite hard to switch that off sometimes. So having that outlet through work can be actually quite rewarding.
Yeah, well, it's like them going and having a really good day at school. You know, the household is way happier at night. So it's been a really nice process to have them in the house. I'm not allowed to really go into their rooms to style them.
I've been banned already.
Yeah,
I've tried. I've got to let it go.
It kills me. Kills me. But I do see little facets. You see facets of your own sense of style, I think, through your kids.
Yeah.
So sometimes I'll look at a wall and be like, where did that artwork go? And, you know, go upstairs and it'll be my daughter's bedroom. And, you know, so I sort of love that they're living with things that, you know, may not be the fanciest things, but they just know how to put things together.
I think that evolves with time. It was funny when I was at school, my bedroom was an absolute mess.
Yeah, same
absolute
here.
tip, which would probably surprise some of my friends now who know I'm absolutely pedantic.
Yeah.
Almost to the point I need to let go a bit.
Yeah.
But I remember, and it was funny, my husband and I were saying, because we both grew up in houses where our parents had a lot of pride and how the spaces were presented and everything was very tidy and, you know, to a point. But one room, my mum always said to me, she's like, I'm never going to go into your bedroom. I'll just shut the door if you want to live like that.
Yeah.
That's on you.
That's
but the minute I moved out and had that, I guess, the independence and actually realised that there was no one around me picking things up off the floor, I actually
you figure
switched.
that out. And also I
Very
think when
quickly.
you have less stuff, our kids are very lucky. They have lots of stuff.
Yeah.
But I think when you have less stuff and you're paying for it, you really probably treasure it more than what you would have done when you lived at home.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think, and that's what I've probably tried to, you know, we probably only really got great pieces of furniture and stuff when we moved house because our old house was a completely different scale to our new house, different feel, and our needs evolved. You know, we got into, we were really happy in our little old house. And then we got to COVID and my son suddenly walked out of his bedroom and he was, you know, like his pajamas had, you know, shrunk like that. And it's like, oh God, and we're all working at home. There's
all adults.
4 of us. Yeah. How do we do this? There's not enough space. So that was probably, we had never thought about that, thought about the growth in the house. We were just happy bumbling along with how we were doing things. So, you know, it became that process of trying to change things. And I've kept some things. I loved some of my old vintage things that I still have kept that I would never probably put in a photo maybe, I don't know. But they're just meaningful because they cost me, you know, that was like my first job. I was lay-buying, you know, and putting $50 a week or whatever. Yeah. So, you know, all those things have got that sentimental value.
Yeah. I did want to ask before we wrap some questions under her edit.
Yeah.
And my first question was actually going to be, can you remember the first design-related purchase or object you ever bought?
Do you know
which
what?
might come back to your vintage.
Yeah, probably vintage. I bought a vintage cupboard. There was I was so into the shaker. I was going to be be an Amish one day, and I was going to make my own timber furniture. But I just loved their principles, and I loved the way things were made.
Yeah.
And there was a woman in High Street Armadale that used to have this store called Woodbury, and that was probably the 90s. And I bought a cupboard from her. And, oh my God, every time we move it, my husband says it's going to fall apart. The removal's not going to be able to lift it up. Once it goes into a spot, it can't be moved. It's just so wonky. It's hand-painted. It's such a daggy piece of furniture, but it just gives me it's my cushion cupboard.
Yeah.
That it just gives me so much joy looking at that because I just adored it. It was just so special to me. Yeah. But probably the first proper thing, maybe Alessi. I mean, Alessi in the 90s, early 2000s was hot as. It's probably got hot again. It's now vintage. But our first trip, we went to London and I went to this store and it was all Alessi. And, you know, we went completely nuts. It was so cheap and bought all this stuff back from London, you know, all of our Leslie stuff, which has still got some of it. So, yeah, probably a Leslie.
Yeah. I remember we were studying architecture. A lot of it, they were doing a lot of collabs with architects.
Oh,
and
yeah.
It's very architectural.
Yes.
Yeah.
Is, yeah.
Felt very sophisticated.
And functional, but, you could have it sitting on your bench and
yeah.
it was a bit shiny.
still quite
Always
like it.
shiny.
Yeah. Next travel destination, actual or aspirational? No, it's a tricky time at the moment, but
yeah, no travel plans. We're family reunion up in Central Coast, and I'm quite excited because the
gorgeous.
Maryvale Hotel. There's a new Maryvale Hotel that's just opened in Narooma. They're going up to Narooma, so there's a few new places that we're going to have a bit of a look at. But no, we have probably next year we'll probably do 3 years. 3 months in Greece. We were going to do it this year, but it just hasn't we just didn't get it organised enough. So next year we hope to do that. Just
amazing.
Sit in a village somewhere and just stay away from the tourists and pretend that we're Greek.
I'll come
My
and
husband's
visit.
Greek background, so that's as close as I'm going to get
Sounds
to being
perfect.
Greek. But probably that. But I'm part of a hiking group, so we did Japan last year. And we're a couple of us have been talking about Patagonia and doing, South America or something fun like that. So, yeah, that might be.
Yeah, amazing. Good balance.
Yeah.
Bit active, bit of relaxation.
Yeah, I cannot. Yeah, I drive them nuts. I take 1,000 photos. I'm the photographer of the group.
Yeah.
Because I'm trying to stop to take in all the beautiful things, and especially the houses and the way people live overseas is so cool, especially in Japan.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Amazing.
So maybe that.
Favorite creative icon, living or legend?
God, I thought about this a lot. I was so influenced 80s, 90s, well, probably 90s, Kath Kidston.
Yep.
And probably Kit Kemp. I think it's that material, the way that they just use material.
Yeah, bold.
The pattern on pattern, the way that we don't use it here.
Yeah.
Well, we do use a little bit, but not like it is overseas.
Yeah.
So probably those
Yeah.
women. Frank Lloyd Wright. I mean, if I could do a tour of Frank Lloyd Wright homes throughout the world, that would be amazing. Because I after being in Japan for the first time last year, I really could sense that bit of Japanese, I don't know, the tiles, the way they're very structural, that very simple lines. And I sort of love that in Frank Lloyd Wright's architecture.
Beautiful.
I never have the right terminology, so apologies to any architects that I speak to. They quite often will drop a word, and even listening to like podcasts and stuff, I'll write a word down and be like, I need to remember to use that word.
Funny.
Yeah,
no,
beautiful.
The final question:
Yes.
If your star was a celebrity, who would it be?
Oh man, did I think about that? I did think about this. And lending back to that 90s, probably Martha. I mean, Martha Stewart's definitely had that after she went to jail, and she's
she's made a good comeback though.
She's just so, she's in a matching tracksuits now. But I definitely think that she was so ahead of her time.
Yes. And she's had incredible longevity as well, really. She's still best friends with Snoop.
I mean, who would have thought that they'd be hanging out together? But I think I think there was another question in your list about something that you love to hate or hate to love.
Design faux pas, secretly love or love to hate.
It's that whole notion of chic that's going around. I don't know, on TikTok and Insta, definitely. And I sort of feel like Martha was chic, but Martha was loose as well, the way she ran her business. And, I've read her book before she went to jail, and, crazy stuff that she used to do when she was first just catering and, reusing wine out of people's glasses at the end of a function for the next function the next day and all that sort of stuff. So she was just so ahead of her time, but she was that effortless chic. I mean, Gwyneth Paltrow is probably the same.
Yeah.
And I sort of love that, she'll do her Sunday cooking in her pajamas with her hair like this, and, I love that too.
A little bit honest.
Yeah. But still probably very controlled, and everything's beautiful in her world. But, and even going into her Goop store, we went into the Goop store in LA, and it's like you really do get it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know, probably those two.
Yeah, excellent choices.
Always, yeah.
Thank you so much for your time today, Bea. It's been really great to chat.
Pleasure. Thank you for having me.